Earth as a singular planet. In fact, it is anything but. For this is a story not of a universe, but a multiverse, where universes and planets, such as Earth, were replicated and mirrored across a vibrating, infinite plane. Some barely different from the next. Others drastically so.
This is DC On Screen. Every week, Dave and Jason talk about the multiverse of DC properties on film and television. But be warned, if it's been officially released, you can expect they'll spoil it.
Got it. Let it go. Are we good?
Let it go.
Welcome into DC On Screen. This is episode 445. Weird news episode. Not a huge amount of news. And also on a Saturday.
Been a while.
Right? Mm-hmm. I'm your host, David C. Robertson. This is my co-host, Jason Goss. Oh, Sunday, isn't it? Oh.
Well, that's an update by itself.
Yeah, sorry. That's right. Yesterday was the Iron Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
A sad Iron Bowl for some.
Mm-hmm. I'm coping.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm David C. Robertson. This is Jason Goss.
Hi.
Sorry, if we sound a little weird today, is I've just woken up.
Yeah, I literally called him to wake him up for this one.
Yeah. I got done about 4 or 5 hours ago.
There you go.
Doing show prep. So, yeah, this is gonna be a fun one.
That's the spirit.
Woo!
Also, I bit my lip while eating breakfast, and that's distracting.
I hear you, man. The other day, I bit the inside of my lip, apparently, while I was asleep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a pain.
So I, woke up and, peeing.
Why does my mouth feel funny?
What? And then it's just, a large bump on the inside of my lip that's just, clearly, the skin has been ripped away from it.
Yep. Now, I'll be spending a lot of this bit of news just trying to not, re-bite my lip. We've all been there.
Right. Yep.
One of those unfortunate universal experiences.
Yep. Okay, so I guess we should get into the news and stuff.
If you're woke enough, yeah.
You think we can do that?
If you want to.
All right. Well, we'll start off with some Justice League box office news. Justice League came in at $52 million in China on its opening weekend. And that's 30% up from Wonder Woman and 10% short of the BVS premiere. It earned $10.6 million this Tuesday, which is a 41% markup from Monday. This is notable because it's the largest increase for a number one movie during the pre-Thanksgiving week in over a decade. Its predecessors usually only make it to, usually only make it into the 30s. Now Coco has dominated it though, so
it's been very family friendly this weekend.
Worldwide, though, officially it has crossed 481 million. I'll be honest, I don't know if that's good or not. A lot of people are saying oh, it's bad. Oh, it's good. No, it's bad. It's good. I don't know.
No,
I couldn't tell you. I think it's still a disappointment for Warner Brothers, honestly, but I don't think it's going to be the end of the franchise.
No, it's not
or anything like that.
No, they were hoping to make more the opening weekend because part of me thinks they were banking on the idea that none of our movies seem to have any legs, so let's just bank on everything happening the first weekend.
The film has fantastic word of mouth. I'll say that. I'm sure everyone is anyone who would be listening to this probably is on the interwebs a fair amount, and they're probably going, people are complaining about it, and it's so divided. Yeah, I think that's just a really loud few on the internet, honestly. Really do. At this point,
it's been a little crazy on the reviews. I don't even know what to do with most of them. I really don't. Because at some point you have to start qualifying news sources and their legitimacy to do that effectively. I feel like I need a team of researchers to do this right, and I'm just not. That's not a thing I'm capable of.
Excuse me.
We'll make it.
All right, so speaking of needing a team of researchers for a thing, there's this big question floating around out there. Will there be a Zack Snyder cut? Probably not.
Short answer, don't look for it.
All right, so look, there's a petition for the Zack Snyder cut. Roberto Mata started this thing, and it's gaining a lot of steam. It's kind of impressive. Just in the last few days, like it's gotten like I literally watched it hit 140,500 right before we hit record.
Nice. I wondered what I heard you
wild.
typing.
Yeah, it's pretty wild seeing just what this is doing. But here's what we know, though, in regards to a director's cut. There is an assembly cut of undetermined length. This is apparently the reportedly unwatchable cut that was shown to executives. This would decidedly not have been Zack Snyder's final cut had he stayed on the movie. We don't have any kind of official confirmation that it had a complete score. In fact, we're pretty sure it doesn't because Junkie was fired.
Mm-hmm.
There were some leaked deleted scenes that would suggest that the VFX were unfinished, despite rumors to the contrary. And all of this happened before additional photography. The reshoots were literally done by Whedon, and we saw those. We know what happened with those.
I mean, those are kind of hanging around right now. Like, Warner Brothers even isn't fighting those. You can just search for them.
The VFX were taken down from zero.
Yeah, no, I just mean a couple of the deleted scenes are around.
Oh, yeah.
Things that actually got finished, they're letting those hang around.
Yeah. Which makes me think that there will be a director's cut or an extended cut, but it's not going to be what you're wanting. It's not going to be the Zack Snyder cut because it doesn't exist.
That is the best information at the moment.
Yeah, that's what we got. I don't know. Now, to release a true quote-unquote director's cut, what you guys are looking for, what a lot of people are looking for, what I would love to see.
I'd watch it.
They would basically, I'd buy it.
It doesn't mean I'm not perfectly happy with the movie I saw, but I'd watch it.
They'd have to go grab other people, grab the entire cast. They'd have to, get Zack to come back, grab the cast, get Fabian Wagner back because he didn't shoot the Joss Whedon scenes. They'd have to grab Junkie XL to come in, take time out from his busy schedule to finish scoring the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not worth it for them to do it.
No.
I very much doubt we'll ever see it. But, like I said, best we can hope for, and what I will hope for, I'll hope for that. I'll hope for the Zack Snyder cut, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's going to happen anyway.
Like, all right, so financially, even we'll round it to 150,000 signatures.
Mm-hmm.
If you all paid $100 for this cut, it would only be worth $150 million, which is maybe just over what it would have cost to actually get everyone back, especially after some bridges might have been burned on the way out.
And then we would have to deal with a little nagging question of which one is canon.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, strategically, this has been my... I hate it for everyone who needs this cut, because I just genuinely think this is a non-starter. If for no other reason that... Like, Warner Brothers is having so much trouble defending the universe they have going on. Why would they start canon problems by releasing another cut that isn't just like the Ultimate Edition with some extra footage that admittedly changes BVS a lot and makes it make more sense? That's different from, here's an entirely different thing that, I mean, you almost have to wait for like a Blade Runner 25th Anniversary Edition to get this confused about something. And that's just throwing in money. That's just like throwing in money to find some extra money where it doesn't cost you anything. It would cost them things. They're not going to cause more tumult in their critical universe by releasing another version of a movie that is already controversial. Never going to happen.
I think the best we can probably really truly hope for is an extended version of the Snyder-Whedon combination.
Yes. I honestly think that's the best you've got as far as if you're hoping for more Snyder, you need to hope that there are a lot of deleted scenes on that DVD or Blu-ray or whatever they're calling it now.
Mm-hmm. Now, the cinematographer, Fabian Wagner, he says he wants the director's cut. There are any number of people from the production who are saying they want this director's cut, which is, I feel, causing a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
Fabian Wagner says this one was even shorter than I expected, so there are scenes that aren't in there. I really hope we get to see a director's cut, which will give us everything that we shot that didn't make it in.
But that doesn't...
He says,
even imply necessarily
Yeah.
Snyder's, but
No. He says, what I love about Snyder's director cuts is they're long, but he takes his time to tell the story. I've never watched any of his director's cuts and thought, this is long. Whether they're 3 hours long or 3 hours and 10 minutes, they always seem to go quick. Richard Citrone, who is the stunt man for Batman in all of the movies so far, he shared a link to the petition and then says, so I probably should have written this when I put up this post, but I wanted to make it clear now. I have nothing against Joss Whedon. I have worked with Joss on multiple projects, and I think he is a great director, and he's very easy to work with. I have also enjoyed Danny Elfman's music for years, going back to Oingo Boingo. So I agree with the cause, but not everything the person who wrote out in the petition is stating. He says, I posted it because I want to support my friend and what I can to see that his version is released. You might say that is going to happen anyway, but that is not necessarily true. And if it does happen, people should know that it is his version. When BVS Extended Cut was released, that was actually the director's cut, and in my opinion, that's how it should have been released. Again, nothing to say that, BVS, that was a done movie.
yeah, that was actually
that's
just
not the same thing.
A director's cut of a movie. This is a different director's cut of a movie
Now,
that is now asking for an original, but yet somehow different director's cut.
And at this point, I'm assuming that this is just him showing support to this person and being gracious to some degree. But Fiona DC Positive over on Vero linked to the petition, and Zack Snyder liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe Zack would be willing to come back and do it, but I don't think Warner Brothers will.
It's it remains to be seen on that one.
Yeah. Now there's a VFX artist. He or she, I don't really know, was confirmed. They were verified over Reddit. LDN_film went and did an AMA. Very interesting read. If you have an hour, go and just read through some of that person's responses. Because you get a lot of insights into what VFX artists do, and you get a lot of insights into how their into the business works, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And in regards to the director's cut, they said it's 1,000% bullshit. As I've said, of course, there is an assembly cut Zack had going before he left, but that was 9 months ago. He himself said he hasn't touched or interfered or been a part of the process since March. There is no cut. People like this guy who spread the rumor are the worst, perpetuating rumors of processes they don't understand. He also had a list of quick questions that he didn't want to keep continuously answering in the AMA. And he says, there won't be a Snyder cut. There won't be further VFX work done, which means no mustache fixing. Even though he said if they had been pushed back to spring of 2018, it would have been seamless. Pretty much the biggest problem with the mustache and a lot of the VFX was that it was so rushed. Yeah. And he says there was sadly never a black Superman suit.
Another online perpetuation?
Yes, but it didn't make it better with toys that had Superman in the suit, and it didn't make it better that Henry Cavill actually posted what appeared to be a picture of the black suit.
Yeah.
And then was dodgy about it.
Yeah.
Apparently, though, he also revealed that Warner Brothers offered Paramount money. They said they would pay for the mustache changes.
Now,
he says,
importantly, it's like they would pay Paramount to replace the mustache, right?
Well, he says, we did tests on already shot footage of Superman to add a beard as well to show the Mission Impossible 6 team at at Paramount. It was loads easier, and Warner Brothers offered to pay for all the beard adding shots in Mission Impossible 6, and they said no.
Yeah.
Like, Warner Brothers did. Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
You got to give Warner Brothers credit there. They literally said, because at the very least, they spent time paying that team to just do that pilot test for them and send it on the way. Just the proof of concept, no, seriously, we can add this. We will add this.
Right.
We'll do it on our dime. Just let him shave. Yeah.
Yep.
That was absurd. This is the most I've had WB's back in a long time.
Right.
They make a lot of messed up decisions up there, but that one, that one is approved.
All right. So Ben Affleck apparently looked into stealing the Batmobile as a souvenir. Thought better of it. Mm-hmm.
Naturally.
and opted to pocket some Batarangs instead, thinking that the prop master wouldn't catch a few missing. He talked about this, what was it, on Jimmy Fallon? Jimmy Kimmel? Jimmy Kimmel, wasn't it?
I think it was Kimmel, but don't hold me to the Jimmy.
But he says you can't exactly have been stealing if you got billed for it, which is what happened to me at the end of this story. Turns out Batarangs aren't cheap.
Yeah. I had this image of a prop master like looking at a table and then re-inventorying everything and just like mumbling to himself, that idiot, as he makes a note to bill Ben Affleck for the missing Batarangs.
That's funny. And apparently Fabian Wagner says that that was the cinematographer on Justice League, said that Zack had a cameo in one of the shots. He's sitting in a cafe to fill it out. I didn't see it. I don't remember it.
I've been trying to place that since I saw that. I can't. Surely someone will remember it and start posting pictures.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you even
For
remember a
those, like-
cafe? Do you even remember a cafe, really?
I don't. I'm sorry.
I don't specifically either. But part of me wondered, like, if there's a part of me that was like, is that Snyder taking like a shot at a cafe scene? Because I could totally see that.
I don't know, man. I hadn't considered it until you just said it.
Just putting that out there, needlessly.
Right. Speaking of needlessly putting something out there, actually it's not needless, but I don't know what to make of it. James Wan says, fret not, no air bubbles for dialogue in my underwater world, which makes me kind of wonder, like, oh, are we already diverging from continuity this much? Okay. That's weird.
Yeah.
Not to say that the air bubble thing wasn't weird in Justice League, because it kind of was.
I thought it was kind of cool. Cause
It was cool, but it was weird.
Yeah, but at least it was acknowledging that underwater communication is hard to do. And I doubt he's going to go with, earpieces or something. But he really might go for I don't know exactly what he's going to do with that. In the film, Aquaman kind of says, like, I don't necessarily talk to the fish, but I talk through the ocean and the fish get it.
Something like that.
It's a rough interpretation. But like I feel like that would be a nice thing to incorporate is he can communicate in the sea. It actually could open up a fun world where like maybe he's one of the only people that can communicate freely, openly, and to several people at once, and everyone else kind of has to have like a little bubble talk. So it's like maybe one of the things that makes him a ruler is that he actually has a voice when other people don't. Physically has a voice when other people don't. I don't know. I just felt like they're going to explore Aquaman in a way that they intentionally left unexplored during this film, where like some of his powers are yet to manifest, I guess.
Yeah, probably. But someone mentioned in the comments that in the animated stuff, in the animated series and stuff, they talk and they just talk underwater, and James Wan liked that, so I don't know what to think, man. Yeah,
I will feel a little bit betrayed if they're like, no, we're not doing bubbles. They just talk now. It's fine.
That's gonna be weird if that's what's going on.
Because what would bother me is like they went through so much. That seemed like a nice effort to explain that you can't just talk underwater or breathe. Unless you're one of them. Anyway, that would be like a nice thing we've stopped to point out and then abandoning it to me. But it may happen. I can't rest my hopes one way or the other.
So there was a false report that came out last weekend claiming that the DCEU would shut down after the next couple of releases, basically after Aquaman.
Yeah.
And David F. Sandberg, Shazam director and troll extraordinaire,
someone that David has mentioned on several times, several occasions you should be following.
Absolutely. He responded to the rumors on Reddit and said, "Nobody told me. Can I take the day off tomorrow then? I really want to sleep in."
Attaboy. Attaboy. I like him, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, he's good. Now, this is weird. Someone was giving Chris McKay shit about, basically they were going like, oh man, the guy that like reminded us all of the corny Robin from the 60s and did those crappy Lego movies or whatever. It's like, you guys are going to give him Nightwing? And Chris McKay on Twitter responded, "This movie will be different than Lego Batman, different than any other Gotham-based film or TV show, and will be a wholly original look at Robin/Dick Grayson. Don't lose hope." I don't know what to make of the wholly original look at Robin Dick Grayson. I don't know what to do with that.
I don't either. He's also
Because
said like this is going to be like a heartfelt, action-packed, blah 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 blah. And I just keep thinking like, man, I really love your enthusiasm, but I got to see it.
Yeah. So I'm just sort of like, I don't want a wholly original look.
No,
I
mean,
want to see Nightwing.
You want like
that's what I want.
Yeah, you want black and blue and the Christmas sticks.
I'll
right?
take yellow and blue.
You'll take yellow and blue. Okay.
I'll take yellow and blue. No Christmas sticks.
No. Did you say Christmas sticks?
No, I said no Christmas sticks.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no Christmas sticks either.
Yeah, I didn't know what they were, but I was confused.
That's going to be on a shirt. I'm going to make a shirt and put it on our store. No Christmas sticks.
Mm-hmm. That'd be good.
All right. So there was also false news that Joss Whedon was not going to be working on Batgirl anymore, that he had been taken off the project. That is not true. He is still scripting Batgirl.
Yeah, that was never something I was worried about.
All right, over to we have some feedback here on our iTunes account. And Fugitoid says, fantastic. David and Jason bring a depth of analysis to DC on the big and small screen, summarizing all the latest news. These guys cover all the interesting news in an informative and humorous weekly installment. Well researched and presented. Their views are always well balanced, and I always find myself laughing out loud at their sense of humor. Keep up the good work. Also love the YouTube segment on Justice League. He's referring to he or she is referring to the live Facebook video. Yes, you can find it on Facebook or YouTube. I did put it up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Forgot about that until I mentioned it.
But
he or she,
it's the same review that you've heard in audio form on this feed.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, though, guy.
Yes.
Or gal.
Yeah.
I forget. I
like that name.
Everyone on the internet isn't just a dude now.
Yeah. Been so long since AOL came out.
Right. All right. Sherman Smith over on Facebook says, a story or script by Jeff Johns has yet to reach a movie screen. Dismissing him from creative control now would be ridiculous. According to IMDb, he has a story credit for Aquaman and a scripting credit for Wonder Woman 2. I don't remember dismissing him. Do you remember dismissing Jeff Johns from anything?
No, not at all. But like in the insane scrum of stories that have happened over the last month or so, I do remember seeing some suggestions that this was and it was probably just blogger talk, I'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
Just heroic Hollywood on a good day kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think I remember running across it, but not in any capacity that I thought it was under any real consideration. So, I mean, I agree. Like you and I were talking about, and if anyone needs to go, it's Tsujihara.
Oh, absolutely.
That was your take on it, and I completely agree.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for agreeing, man.
There you have it, Tsujihara. We're coming for you. 2 people strong.
I don't know, man. I think it's like 100. What was it? 150, 140,000 strong.
There is some strong. I think we could probably start. The thing is, like, if you tried to explain the situation, it would take us longer to explain ourselves. I don't know. I did read the outline of that guy's pitch for the Snyder cut, and it is long and rambling. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. I think we could probably do it in half the word count. Explain, okay, this is who Kevin Tsujihara is, and this is why we think he should go.
Right. Well, the company may very well go through an upheaval of sorts with the Trump administration suing over the AT&T Time Warner merger. So there might actually wind up being like a
that actually
reconfiguring. I don't know what you would call it.
It may have an effect. We'll have to see on that one. But not in any real timeline. Like, let's put it this way: those kinds of things take so long. It's gonna be a minute. Like, we'll probably have Aquaman before we talk about it again in any real capacity. Plus, an antitrust lawsuit takes forever. I seem to remember like that stuff with Microsoft filled up like 5 years of my life when I was a kid. I feel like
filled it up, huh?
Well, I was very interested at the time.
What were you, like 10?
Yes.
Little 10-year-old Jason just like, I gotta find out what's happening with Microsoft.
That was for real. I wanted to work for Microsoft when I was 10.
Oh, man.
Like, really wanted to work. Yeah, that was a real dream of mine at 10.
You had Moxie back then.
Yeah. No, seriously, there's a 10-year-old or like an 11-year-old or however, whatever range that was, version of me that actually sat around and watched like Bill Gates testifying.
That's impressive, man.
Well, it didn't mean I understood anything that was happening, but I was very curious.
Nathaniel Muzzy over on Facebook says, I saw Justice League. I thought it was fine. I think there had to have been some strange editing choices because I feel like we spent as much time with that Russian family as we did with Cyborg. Yeah, that Russian family is a Whedon edition, I believe. I liked it okay, just felt like it cut away from the things I wanted more of. The team, Atlantis, etc. to show me things I didn't care about. Random Russian family, anything with Lois Lane. I disagree about Lois Lane.
I disagree about both, to be honest.
Yeah, the Russian family was there to inject humanity into the film.
I would say,
because we didn't really see anything else as far as what the world was doing about Superman or feeling about it, except for that opening credit sequence.
Yeah, it's a human proxy. It's the ground wire. Like to some extent, you have to have it. Like,
you don't have to have it, but
I think
you don't have
really
to have
think
it.
You do, though, especially in big budget scenes like this. If you don't have like that one kid in Sokovia that ends up getting Quicksilver killed or something like that, like you have to have that one bit. I hate to have referenced another Whedon product at the moment, but still, I think you really have to have that, or you end up with in a film that's already being called rushed by some critics. I think you end up with a rushed action scene that doesn't come across.
Yeah. Yeah, what I was going to say is you don't have to have it, but just like with Star Trek Generations, what you wind up with is the heroes make sacrifices, do certain things, and nobody cares because they don't understand what the stakes were.
Yeah.
In Star Trek Generations, they said, oh yeah, this planet has 2 million people on it or whatever. Mm-hmm. A population of 2 million people. We never saw one. We don't know what they were like. We don't know anything about their culture. We are not invested in them at all. Kirk dies. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen this 1994 film.
My day's ruined.
But Shatner bites it, in the end, sacrifices himself for the planet, and like me, I'm like, yeah, people were in danger, whatever. I still shed a tear. Mm-hmm. I felt it, but most of the general audience, I don't think felt anything. They were just like, what did he die about? Why did he die?
Yeah.
So you gotta have that humanity proxy.
And
you just do.
Here's the other part of that. You can't just go back for it in retrospect. Look at Man of Steel. Look at all the destruction. Look at all the criticism about like, whoa, people died. And then let's look at BVS where they go back and address, yes, we know people died. And then when you look at the individual stories, no one cared about Scooter McNair, If you try to do it like in retrospect, a movie later, everyone kind of thinks, yeah, we're over it. We don't care about the individual anymore. It's a wonderful like inverse of the whole Stalin. I think it was death of a million's a statistic, death of one's a tragedy kind of thing. Yeah, the other way around, but still, it's a wonderful like inverse to it where maybe just it's not even an inverse. It's just a bastardization of the idea where like if you do it wrong, neither one matters. You're neither a statistic that anyone cares about, nor are you a personal story that anyone cares about.
Yeah. It was Scoot McNairy, by the way.
McNair.
Scooty McNair.
Thank you. Scooty McNair.
Scooty McNair.
We all remember him. From the way he scooted around that chair.
Just stop.
I mean, I will, but only when you insist on the next story.
Nathaniel continues. Oddly, my buddy who liked BVS hated it, so everything is subjective. I think my most pressing issue is this. Clark Kent was buried in a suit, if I remember right. They show it, yet resurrected him in a t-shirt and sweatpants. Seems like an awkward team-building exercise to decide they needed to change him. I don't remember the suit. I don't remember the sweatpants. What I remember is a bewilderingly shirtless Superman that apparently got his shirt blown off and suit coat pants, slacks of some sort. Yeah.
I do love his suggestion that this was like a crazy team building exercise.
Yeah.
That somehow they're like, well, we all know Resurrection is a bit itchy. He's not going to want that 3-piece suit on. We're just going to take him down to a vest. You know what? We're just going to take him down. You know what? Just let him go shirtless. We're just going to take him down to pants.
All right.
just for the sake of presentation, and like you can almost see like Flash and Batman arguing over like, no, seriously, let him keep his pants. Let him keep. Yeah, we're gonna help him. But it would have made a fine deleted scene, I think.
I don't think.
Well,
like
in the way that, like, if you consider how it should have ended, versions of like alternate versions of deleted scenes, it would have made a great one of those, I think.
Yeah, you want to join a gang, you gotta pop a cap on somebody or steal something. But if you want to join Batman's gang, you've got to undress and redress a god.
Mm-hmm. A dead one.
A dead god. Mm-hmm. That's just how I roll.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm in my 40s. Things have gotten complicated.
Mm-hmm. Starting to wonder what all this costume stuff means for me. What I've been trying to tell myself.
Just trying to explore yourself late in life.
All right. Nerdy-tastic over on Twitter says, prepare yourselves, because I'm about to fangirl all over the place. Yes, the mustache removal CGI is atrocious, but do I care? Nah. This is the Superman I wanted. The big blue Boy Scout who smiles and makes corny jokes and saves civilians and punches evil in the face while talking about justice. That opening in Gotham was straight out of BTAS. Loved it. More of that. If we get a solo Batfleck movie. Please and thank you. Wonder Woman is an absolute delight, and the way they explained her 100-year absence was about as good as we'll ever get. Also, when she told the story of how Steppenwolf was previously defeated and that thing happened, I sat bolt upright in my chair. Cyborg is perfectly acceptable, and I'll look forward to what they do with him next and hope they spend more time on his design. 'Cause yikes. Like the rest of this movie, the CGI on him is pretty slapdash. I still don't know what to think of Flash. This version is more like Bart, or more accurately, Peter Parker. You know, a lot of people have said that, and I don't agree with it, but alright. I will agree with Bart. He was so socially awkward that it bordered on off-putting. I did love it when he and Superman raced, and when he went cross-eyed, when Superman's eye followed him. Fantastic.
Yes.
Probably my favorite thing in the film.
Yes, maybe, yeah. That one moment when Superman's eyes turn and you just look over at Ezra Miller and he's just frightened.
Yeah, that's like the one scene I've thought about over and over again, with a big grin on my face.
Yes. Well, that and when, the Slowpoke thing was over. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Mm-hmm. And we wouldn't have gotten that scene without the Russian family, Nathaniel.
Yeah.
So, Nerdy-tastic continues. Aquaman is fine. Not really a fan either way of the character or the actor, so I'm neither overwhelmed with delight or underwhelmed with disappointment. He's fun and seems to enjoy himself, so that translates well. Honestly, I liked him a lot more than that, but if that's the worst you got to say about Aquaman? I'm good.
About a person who a year ago was a complete joke.
Uh-huh. The plot is fine, not good, not bad. It's not a middling episode of Justice League. Sorry, it's like a middling episode of Justice League. It's not fantastic like Starcrossed. Starcrossed was a high bar, though.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
But it's not god-awful like Super Friends. It was definitely slapped together, and you can see the seams and definitely tell who directed what. It shouldn't work, but it does. I'm satisfied. I'll see it again. I'll buy it on Blu-ray when it comes out. Final score, solid B. Thank you, Nerdy-tastic. I gotta say, though, it doesn't feel slapped together. It really doesn't feel slapped together. It feels like they did the best they could, with no time. That's what it feels like to me. Like, I feel like the studio had a bunch of mandates, and Joss Whedon was just like, I'll try!
Yeah. But we've said before...
And then they gave him then they gave more mandates, and he went, alright!
Yeah. We've mentioned before, though, like, Whedon, in some cases, works the best when you give him as few resources as possible.
Uh-huh.
So, this may not be an exception. By the way, his review of it in general, like, I go between, hold on now, and 300% agreeing.
Uh-huh.
But it's almost like very stop and start. Because I agreed with everything he said for right up until Cyborg Yikes.
I think there were definitely some Yikes CGI moments for...
Definitely some Yikes CGI, but not necessarily design. I like his design. Just didn't think I didn't like the follow through as much.
I didn't like the design at all. And I liked it later on when he actually got the
when he expands.
Yeah, when he actually gets the real Cyborg look.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
But
like that's what you have to look forward to. But I was fine. I was fine with there being like a stepping, like a stage before that.
Yeah. And I don't know. He looked like a crystalline entity. Transformer.
Yeah. Oh, everything about
Just like,
Superman and Justice and that first scene being extremely BTAS was absolutely on point for me. Like, that was my first, in the theater. I finished that scene and thought that's the most BTS thing I've ever actually seen done by real people.
Yeah. I will say, like, I'm not like the biggest fan of Cyborg. You know, I didn't like the outfit, but it didn't look like the metal wife beater that was in the 80s.
Yeah, that was weird.
I'm all right. Oh yeah, Nerdy-tastic. She continues. She says, one problem I have is why didn't Bruce buy the Kent farm previously? If Martha was the catalyst for him to come to his senses, why let her get kicked out of her home? I don't think he knew about it until later.
I did just kind of assume it hadn't hit his radar.
Yeah, I figured he was out like tracking down parademons because he knew some stuff was coming because of the nightmare that he had from BVS, and then I assume he was, actually out looking for people, mostly Aquaman.
Yeah.
He knew where Diana was because he sent her a letter.
But that's all very top of mind stuff. And the major thing is, like, think about the verb they used in that little throwaway joke. It was a reflex. You can only have reflexes to things that hit you immediately, like without warning.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the film says, "Oh, he didn't know about that," and it's justifiable in the sense that this is a 44-year-old man trying to get his head around and body prepared for an alien invasion that he will need demigods to help fight.
Yeah,
I hate to suggest that he doesn't have anything on his radar at any given time, but I think Bruce let that one slip.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, guys, if you are gonna follow us to DCTV, that's awesome because we're gonna talk about TV a little bit. And but if you're not, and you enjoyed what you've already heard, I implore you to hit us up on Twitter at DC On Screen. You can leave us a voicemail at 205-259-6331. Subscribe to us over on iTunes. If you like this, though, please give us a 5-star written review over on iTunes and a big old thumbs up or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a thumbs up, but there should be.
You could probably
Damn it.
draw one
There
in
should
ASCII if you felt like it.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know. They said it was a thumbs up, but it looks like a dick.
Yeah. It would.
Like, no, there's a little, like, there are the motion lines that show the hand going up with a thumb. Like, that just looks like ball hair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah. I can't tell if it's Knuckles or Zack.
That's another T-shirt, man. Just says Knuckles or Zack. DC On Screen.
And another in a long line of shirts that you'll never see.
You want to bet? Oh, now that you said that, they'll be up tonight. DCOnscreen.com. You can already go to our store and buy stuff. Yeah,
Fair
you
enough.
just wait.
Fair enough. Oh, well, if you're
It'll be
doing
on our
that,
timeline in the next 24 hours.
if you're doing that, about what was it? A couple of years ago, we promised Bill Murray saying, "I think I would have made a fine Batman."
We did, but I never made it.
I know. While you're on there.
Well, I'm a little afraid of getting, pinged for likeness and stuff.
Oh, sure.
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, just make me one.
I might.
Fair enough.
All right, over to TV. We don't have a lot on the Arrowverse. A lot of it's just people talking about what the Crisis on Earth X, which we will talk about at some point. So
yeah, we're gonna have a review for that specifically.
Yeah, for the Arrowverse stuff, we'll just say this: the mid-season finale dates are official. Supergirl, December 4th. Flash, December 5th. Legends of Tomorrow, December 5th. And Arrow, December 7th. And now we're going over to Gotham. That was a painless CW jaunt, wasn't it?
For this week, yeah. I mean, if you just ignore a bunch of hype, yeah, that's all that really happened.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite was they're putting out what they called catch-up trailers. And I clicked on it thinking like, oh, cool, this is going to be a nice recap. No, it's just a trailer that they clearly workshopped and said change two frames and make it show specific and retitle it. And it's just like them suggesting, hey, you should probably head to CW and catch up right now because it's about to go down.
Yeah.
That's it. It made me laugh when I realized
Fair
what
enough.
they actually were. Oh, God. How was that worth the money? Okay.
Yeah. All right, so over to Gotham. Brian Winbrandt, is that one of the EPs? Is that right?
Yep.
Did I understand that correctly? Says, while we're leaving a lot on the table, there's going to be plenty left for us to put on the table after this season. I mean, we're driving into a really amazing place where, talk about a cliffhanger, is going to be insane. Right now, our focus is on the characters we have. I mean, we have, I think, the biggest cast on television. Every one of them deserves their own story. I mean, everyone is so good. So right now, we're just trying to figure out the best way to service our cast before we introduce anyone else. And for us, the exciting thing for us is bringing in Jerome, pushing the story forward, and we're certainly going to leave this season in a place where people are going to want a season 5. So apparently season 4 is going to end on a cliffhanger, which isn't great, but hopefully they'll be like, hey guys, you guys aren't being, if they are going to cancel them, hopefully they'll let them know, give them enough time.
Yeah, that'd be great. Not something you should count on. Fox is, if anything, known for doing the exact opposite. So that was actually, to me, the most disappointing thing about that headline is I feel like if you're on Fox, you should almost treat every episode like it might be your last.
Yeah, maybe.
I just, betting on the next year, that's hard rowing.
Maybe not. I haven't looked into it completely, but if they're close to 100, they'll probably get another season.
Yeah, I mean, right now I think they will get another season. I have like a guttural instinct to not trust Fox. Mm-hmm. So every time I see something like that, my, oh shitometer goes off.
Yeah, they're up to the December 7th episode. They will be at 77 episodes, so I'm pretty sure they'll get a season 5.
Yeah, that's at least an inspiring take on it. We got to get to 100.
I think if they've gone this far, they'll get to 100.
Hopefully.
That was, So Brian Winbrandt also was talking about the Grundy Butch hybrid. He says, I think what you're going to see is the story of duality and of this Frankenstein story when the monster becomes aware that he's a monster. How does that person move forward? How can someone move forward remembering maybe pieces of what they were, and now they're this, for all intents and purposes, a hideous thing. So I think that's great. So I think what's great is there's really something interesting we dive into with Grundy Butch, and you'll see him sort of becoming almost a new version of the character. Part is Butch, part is Grundy, and what that does for us moving forward is it allows us to kind of carve a new trajectory for Drew Powell and for the character in the mythology of the show. I'm down with that. Yeah. But one of the things I really like about Grundy, and one thing I hope they do, is keep that tragic element of him. So like no matter how much he evolves, when he dies, he comes back completely different.
And kind of has to redo it.
Yeah, like he's just, and maybe he just, after a certain amount of time, he he doesn't have himself. He loses himself completely. I think that would, speak well to the tragedy of the character if they did it that way. Make it a little more tumultuous, the transformation into Grundy, and because, his death was so abrupt.
Mm-hmm. No, it was one of the truly shocking parts.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like they undercut that by making him Grundy, and it's fun that he's Grundy. I enjoy that he's Grundy, but I don't want him to just become Undead Butch either. Like, make me care again, and then reboot him and make it really tragic that he's gone for real.
Well, part of Grundy's character is also that he comes back stronger, and it wouldn't surprise me if. Well, at least it would be fun to explore, like, what if Ed realizes this and starts kind of killing him to make him a stronger fighter for his little, underground fighting ring thing.
Well, would he keep doing that if Grundy comes back different every time and you can't control him?
Essentially what Ed did was imprint on him when he came back the first time. He just saw Ed and was like, Ed, friend, and then it was over. It was fine.
Yeah.
So, like, if you know that every time you kill him, you can just imprint on him again and reboot him as your friend instead of rebooting him as, crossroads of variables or something. It's pretty safe.
Maybe even set up like a fake attack that he can save him from or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then in this case, if I was just playing with the story, it'd be like Leslie that comes around and notices this kind of abuse and, stops it essentially.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
So Gotham is moving once again. Fox's return schedule has been released, and Thursday nights will no longer be the home of Gotham. even though it's only been a half season since they were moved from Monday nights.
Yeah.
The Fox schedule goes all the way through January 22nd and has no home for Gotham during that time, so its premiere will be after that at some point.
The important thing to remember is that is a winter schedule. The spring premiere dates are a little different sometimes.
Yeah.
Like Lucifer, it appears airs on the 1st and then a week after, and then we'll see. Whereas if you look up anything on Gotham right now, it's pretty much like, well, we'll see on the 7th, and then blank.
Yeah.
The moving date is a little troublesome, if that's what it ends up being. It's getting replaced for
I'm a little worried about that.
Something called the 4 or something. I don't know. It's basically going to be like 4 people singing, and then the contestants every week will be trying to take their place among the 4. Sounds tragic to me, but people will watch it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how long that's going to last exactly. If that's going to be like an event, or if they have long-term plans for it. We'll have to see when they come out with more scheduling information.
Yeah. All right. Well, DC Direct's 3rd series has been announced, and it's going to be a half-hour, 26-episode-long animated Harley Quinn series.
It's kind of exciting. I like it.
It's exciting until I see former Powerless producers Justin Halpern, Patrick Shoemaker, Dean Lowry will head the project, which is being described as an adult animated comedy.
I'm actually not upset about that.
I am.
I didn't think...
Margot Robbie...
Let me put it this way. I didn't think Powerless was that bad. I knew it wasn't going to survive, but it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. And for like a DC, streaming service series, it's about what I expect. If all they give me is like what I got out of Powerless, it'll probably be an entertaining show for what I invest in it.
Yeah. Margot Robbie is going to be asked to provide the voice, but there isn't any news yet on whether she'll join. The series will follow the aftermath of her breakup with Mr. J. Poison Ivy has been named as a co-star, and several more heroes and villains have been promised. Would it be weird if in, like, let's say 30 years, the popularity of Harley Quinn makes it so that, like, the Joker is never called the Joker again? He's just always referred to as Mr. J.
You can see, like 70 years from now, in one of the, Detective Comics issue number, 3000.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of mention, he mentions him by the Joker. And it's like an Easter egg.
Yeah. Like, they do a retelling in about 40 years where, Batman keeps hearing about this guy on the street, this, like, mastermind called Mr. J.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
After they've just let the Joker kind of sink for about 20 years and not mention him very often.
Yeah.
And he's one of the people that might be getting...
happen.
There have been some people propose he's getting to a saturation point. I don't believe it, but I understand their argument.
That just means that they're weird and they have a problem with it. All right. So the Twitter account JL Reunion is trying to get some momentum for a Justice League reunion movie starring the original cast for the Justice League. I guess it would be Justice League Unlimited or just normal Justice League, but in the DCEU.
Yeah.
They said, I've spoken with Susan Eisenberg, and she told me if we want a Justice League animated movie with the original cast, we need to let WB know, so tweet WB Home Entertainment with the hashtag Justice League Reunion. Andrea Romano will even come out of retirement to direct it. I don't see a confirmation of that anywhere.
No, he's just claiming it. But I could buy that.
Susan Eisenberg, Wonder Woman, and Kevin Conroy, obviously Batman, have both tweeted their support of the matter. That's interesting if you want to follow through with that. I don't know that I want more because I don't want another Batman and Harley Quinn situation. I don't believe these people know how to write this stuff anymore. They don't have any kind of perspective on their past, any kind of perspective on what they did. They're pretty much just willing to throw it away for stupid dick jokes. And I don't want to see that. It hurts.
Yeah, I could track that. But even if you go back 6 or 7 years when it was still, Dini, Burnett, Bruce Timm when you wouldn't let him draw penises. It was, they still kind of had it.
Yeah.
We're not that far removed. And I haven't seen any signs from Dini that it was...
Right.
He might be the one that I still trust. Because Burnett is also retiring. And, yeah, he might be the one that I still trust.
Dini would be the one I trust. Yeah. Like, Burnett and Tim, we saw what they did with Batman and Harley Quinn.
Yeah, Dini's the one I meant to say I still trust. Sorry, if that came off.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite things from the old Fat Man on Batman podcast. When someone mentioned Alan Burnett, and Kevin Smith said, "God rest his soul."
Like, he's alive, jackass. Yeah.
And then, like, every time they mentioned him after it, like,
was a running
God
joke.
rest his soul. It was great. It was
That
just
was
so good.
Back when Fat Man and Batwoman was basically like a wrap-up of the BTAS production crew.
Yeah.
Oh, those were some golden days.
Yeah. Absolutely. Before he just talked about Game of Thrones on the show.
Yeah, it got to the point where it was a little too expensive for me.
Yeah.
It's like, you haven't mentioned Batman in like 6 weeks, dude. And he's being played by the guy that like gave you the home you live in. How has this not come up?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't listened to Fat Man for a while. So
There was just like a period where I kind of was like, we've gone so far from the premise. Like, I appreciate all the talk. It's just, I wanted to be more specific. So I had to pick up some other things in my timeline.
Yeah. Which, you know, us complaining about that, us of all people complaining about someone talking about something beyond their premise, that's a little ironic.
Yeah, I don't know. He went way further. Like, we see a DC on screen, and for a lot of the time, that's what we talk about. He said Fat Man on Batman in particular, just one character. And even the extended universe, he would like forget about for a couple weeks at a time. Or not forget about it, but it would be like the smallest thing they talk about for a couple weeks. Wasn't exactly frustrating. I just wanted to focus more on the stuff that we tend to circle around and talk about. Like me and you, when we're talking, tend to talk about more about this very specific subset of it. So me and you don't normally get into Game of Thrones and Walking Dead discussions.
Right. Plus, like, I'm still thinking maybe one day I'll watch some of those, so it just became like, stop talking about things I haven't seen.
Okay, I can see that.
That's right. I basically become Paul Lynde. I become Uncle Arthur from Bewitched.
Right.
I'm like, oh no, Uncle Arthur! Spoilers!
Yeah. And it turned you into Richie's older brother. Going upstairs never to be heard from again.
Right. Nice pull, man. Nice pull.
Thanks.
You say younger brother? Because I think it was his older brother.
I said older brother. Did I get that right?
Okay.
I thought it was his older brother.
Good job. All right.
Carry on. Carry on. I'll allow it.
All right. That's weird that you mentioned that, too, because Ron Howard's dad, Rance Howard, died yesterday.
Oh.
He was like one of those guys that you've seen him like a million times in a million different things. He was fantastic.
He must have been getting up there a little bit. Same time?
I think it was like 89, maybe?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
It's got to be around that area. Same time, another death. Katie Cassidy's dead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, David Cassidy, who not only was he, our TV's Black Canaries or Black Siren's father, he played Mirror Master in the 90s Flash.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Also, there's like a whole Brady Bunch thing, but...
Yeah. Well, I think it was the Partridge Family.
Or Partridge Family, sorry.
Yeah. Did you see what his last words were?
No.
So much wasted time.
Oh, God, those are haunting last words.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord, way to pull down my Sunday afternoon, buddy. I mean, it's good advice on the way after. No, I mean, it's both Davids in this context. You and he.
You're like, damn it! I was planning on wasting a lot of time today.
I really was. I have a lot of reading lined up that is very inconsequential reading. Well, except for Doomsday Clock number 1. I have Doomsday Clock number 1 sitting here.
I don't think that's wasted time. It probably is.
No, that's not.
I don't think it's wasted time.
You know, the Rick and Morty like side series is maybe. I enjoy myself. But.
Sure. Anyway, apparently there were more Batman the Animated Series episodes that we never got. Paul Dini confirmed that the powers that be insisted on so much Robin during BTAS that it cost us some fun episodes. He had a Black Canary Catwoman story plan that didn't meet the Robin criteria. He says the Black Canary Catwoman episode was a casualty. They wanted more Robin, and each time we wanted to drop in from our story, we had to fight for it. Not that we had anything against Robin, we just wanted to stretch now and then to do solo Batman stories or episodes that focused mainly on Gordon or the villains. After the experimentation of the first season, the network felt we might be leaving the boys behind, so we got the edict, add more Robin. Apparently we also missed a Swamp Thing episode. Dini says, other than that, there was a Poison Ivy seducing Swamp Thing story I toyed around with, but the rights to Swampy weren't available then. I did a sort of a version of it years later on an episode of Justice League Action. So that's cool. I would have liked to have seen both of those things. I really wanted to see Black Canary back in the day. Like, I wanted any expansion I could get of the DC universe at the time. I was like, where the hell's Superman? Where's the Justice League? I want a Green Lantern. Give me a Flash.
I mean, they got there for you, but...
Now, imagine this. How cool would it have been, like, when you look at, like, an episode, like, you remember the episode where Talia and Ra's and Batman go off into the desert and deal with that, mystical pharaoh lady or whatever in the Lazarus pit? You know what I'm talking about?
Kind of.
Anyway, I know someone out there has got the actual episode name in their head, and I can't remember right now. Mm-hmm. But when you look at something like that, how awesome would it be if we had an episode where Batman, on a mission to find Ra's or something, stumbles across the Mascara?
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Like you
Even
could
as
have
a throwaway, like
expanded
you could have him stumble across it and then look at it and even just kind of say like whatever these people are doing, they're not hurting anyone and they clearly want to be left alone, and then walk away from it. And I would have been like, do you remember that episode where he found the Amazonians and just kind of left them alone?
Yeah.
Even that would have been nice.
Yeah.
Then again, let's give one quick shout out to Legends for doing something very similar.
Oh gosh, that was amazing.
That was great.
That's not good. It's not going to be often that you hear me say anything on Legends was amazing.
That's the reason I brought it up, was like, let's have the one moment where they did something that you approved of.
Yeah, Helen of Troy taking her to the Mascara was amazing. And while the episode following it was very so-so, was just not very good at all, dude, Mick, Rory, and his dad got me. Like, I was weepy.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Ooh, man.
They were good. It's mostly, like, watching Purcell's face while he kind of processes all this information about, maybe I'm not the immoral guy, maybe that's how I was raised, and who do I really want to be, and all that stuff. They did a wonderful job, like, bringing that up this episode, I thought.
Like, it was so subdued, but, like, when Nate kind of walks up and he's burning himself with the lighter, he's like, it should have been me that burned. Like, oh, God.
That was rough. That was actually, that was rough.
Oof. Oof, yeah. Let me tell you something, man. That's a tough thing to watch after you've been sitting there cackling at the Council of Wells.
It can be a little bit of a come down.
With a little Matthew McConaughey Wells flashing his bits.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
I knew that was going to be fun, though. I went in.
Oh, sure.
I went in with the wildest expectations, and all were met. I really just enjoyed the crap out of myself.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we got to wrap up. We got to go. I'm sorry. It's a short week.
Can I give you an image that's going to haunt you? Hopefully,
why?
Yeah. Well, you did it to me, and I want to.
Okay.
And it fits. It's completely fits off what you told me. So so much wasted time, right? Haunting last words.
Yeah.
Similarly, I heard someone on that Reply All podcast that I keep badgering you about.
Well,
He
I guess we've officially promoted them. I hope they're good.
Yeah. No, they're solid. So one of them was like, I forget who it was, but one of them suggested like a version of hell that he has conceived of before. Is you're just like in a room and they just show you video of yourself while you wait for every web page you've ever visited to load. That was painful. Because at the very least, it makes you wonder, like, oh my God, how much time have I spent doing that? Oh God.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
And on that, we are DC On Screen.
That delightful note.
You can find every episode at DCOnScreen.com. Please go subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you like us, please go give us a 5-star written review. Also, we can do that on Facebook now, too.
Yeah.
So that's really cool and really fun. And let's face it, it's Facebook, so it has way more chance of getting seen.
Sure. Feel free to message me your version of hell if you want to, because that sounds hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, message us. Go to the DC on Screen Twitter or Facebook page, and message us what your version of hell is.
Yeah. Unless it's listening to this podcast, in which case it's low-hanging fruit. Go for a better joke.
Indeed.
You can do better. We expect more from you.
We expect you to create your own characters.
Absolutely.
Like the Witter Women.
Right.
Like the Witter Women. Right. Call us at 205-259-6331.
Those prototypical sons of bitches, wherever they are.
Oh.
I say plural. We don't have any reason to believe that that one person didn't just talk over themselves recording, but that's a different thing.
In my fondest dreams, whoever did the Witter Women was like the next Key and Peele or the next Mr. Show, you know? Like, like
at the very least, just like, fun prank callers.
Yeah. Did we just start like the Dana Carvey show version of the waiters who are nauseated by food with Steve Carell and Stephen Colbert? No one knew him back then. I'm going to be watching any variety show I can get my hands on just to see if the Witter Women pop up and be like, I knew it.
Yeah, 30 years from now.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gone. We're gone. Until next time, keep some DC on your screen. Our opening narration was from Dan Jurgens' The History of the DC Universe, Part 3 of 10, as featured in DC 52, Week 4. It was performed by me, David Z. Robertson. Intro music by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band Future Elevators can be found on Spotify or future-elevators.com. Our introduction was performed by Eli Ophelders of Stealing the Remote, which lives on SoundCloud and can be found on iTunes and Stitcher. We're a proud member of the Giant Size Team Up Network, GiantSizeTeamUp.com. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. Visit maladjusted.tv for more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy and improvised web series, vlogs, parodies, and more.